Okay, well, Mayor Smith is unavailable in the air. And as deputy mayor, I'll be running the meeting today. We were awaiting Arlene, and she'll join us as soon as she gets here. With that said, I'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with first announcement, checks over $25,000 pursuant to village policy. Please be advised that vendor Pacific Trans Global Construction Corp. was written a check for $65,719.74. Purpose DPW office renovation from flood damage, and the note is general fund flood insurance. That's the only announcement that is on the agenda. Does anyone else have any announcements they'd like to make? With that said, we'll look at correspondence, and there is no correspondence. So with that, we will move along to public comment. There are some attendees here. If anyone would like to comment, please raise your hand and we'll bring you on. With no public comment, we will move along to the consent agenda. If anyone's had an opportunity to look and has any questions or concerns about the items on the consent agenda, please let me know. And if not, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda. We have a second?
Second.
Please vote. All in favor? Thank you. With that, we will move on to the budget workshop. I think the fire department's going first. I know Chief Billings has some time, and you better not use it all because it's 7:05. And I know, Dan, that your meeting is at 7:45. I do apologize that I'll be missing it today, but welcome.
Dan is, yeah, he's just appearing here, so give him a chance to get settled there.
There we go. If I can
There.
start my video. I have
There.
Anthony and Jimmy with me as well.
Great.
So thanks for having us. And I know we have our meeting at 8 o'clock. So thank you for fitting us in at the beginning of the meeting. First of all, I don't see Arlene, but hi to Mitchell. My name is Dan Billings. I'm the fire chief. Anthony is my second assistant, and Jimmy Ruffler is my first assistant chief. Just some things that we do: fire calls, fire alarms, car accidents, water rescues, gas calls, CO calls, EMS assists, mutual aid calls, and a bunch of electric issues that we go to, and yeah, gas calls too. So just to give you an idea about what we do on a regular basis. If you have any questions, we're here. You know, shoot us an email, shoot us a call, whatever you need. We're here for you guys. As far as the budget, there's not many changes. Most of the large items we do is in our capital budget, but as far as our operating budget, we just had two small requests. The first request is in the officer stipends, to increase the chief to 5,000 and the assistant chief to 3,000. And that's on the officer stipends on personnel services. And then
I'm sorry, what are the, just so I know, what are the current stipends? They're going up to 5,000 from what?
The current stipends are up there, right? You have them up there?
Oh.
Actually,
Not on
that's the
sheet I'm looking
total.
at.
Yeah,
Okay, so the current total is 9,528. So with that, it would go up to 11,000 because it's 5,000 for the chief and then 3,000 apiece for the assistants.
Right,
So
no, what I was asking was like,
Yeah.
so it's gonna go from, it's gonna be 5,000 and 3,000, what is it now?
I apologize for not having the
Yeah.
exact
You just
numbers.
gotta-
I don't
I
mean
can
to
look
put-
it up.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but
have,
I can get it.
here,
I'll
so-
give you the rough numbers.
Okay,
So the chief is approximately $4,500, and that would be moving to 5,000.
gotcha,
And the assistants are approximately $2,500, moving to 3,000.
Got you. Thank you very much.
That's about, again, those are rough numbers. So that's the result. There's 2 assistants and 1 chief. So that's the roughly $1,500 that you see on the screen there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I think the total requested was 9528, which goes to up just to 11,000.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's
That's
grown.
just based upon, the time that we put in here, not just on fire calls and dealing with our members, but also doing a lot of the back end stuff that is mandatory to be a fire chief. So the other line item that I just wanted to touch on is the annual physicals. The price of them has gone up a little bit, but we were slated for 13,000, and I think with our cancer benefit, I had included Brenda in this. There was an increase because of the external, the exterior members. So members that don't go into fires, but they may have gone into fires in the past. They're included on the cancer benefit now, so they have to take a physical. So we have a few more members taking physicals. So there's just a little bit of an increase in that. We found a few more guys this year came because of that, which is great because now they're included in that that benefit. And you have to have a physical and clear of cancer for the previous 5 years to be eligible for that benefit.
But just so we're on the same page here, I'm sorry that there was, well, Brenda was out of the office a little bit.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we have it all. So we have 13,000 in there for the physicals. Brenda, was that going up from there or?
I did not put an increase in, so I think there was an increase. Let me look down. No, we
So
had
she's-
13,000 last year. No, this does not reflect an increase at this point.
Correct.
So we need to
she-
increase it.
So how much was the requested increase then, just to be? So we're on
15.
15,000, up to 15,000, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we can add 2,000 to that line when I get
Yeah.
back.
Right. All right.
It's just to cover those members again. We have a lot of old timers that put in their time here, and now they help out on the fire ground, but they're still protected from all the service they put in the past.
Yeah, sorry about that mix up here.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I appreciate it.
Can I ask about one item, the boat club lease? I thought Irvington was losing the fireboat. Is that not true, or?
So I'll give a little tidbit and then I'll hand it off to Larry with that. So right now with the damage that was done to the dock, we do not have a place to put our boat. The previous few years, just as a background, we docked our boat in Tarrytown. I don't feel as chief it's safe to do that. Just our members are going lights and sirens through Irvington and through Tarrytown to get to a call. I don't think it's safe that way. I think we need our boat in this town so we can make quick and swift rescues off our shore. But there is still an ongoing, I guess the word be litigation, between the insurance company of Tappan Zee Bridge Construction and the boat club. So it's an ongoing thing. I don't know if Larry, you want to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't have any final answers. I wish I did, but that is correct. As you probably remember, the dock was wiped out by a breakaway barge that was involved in the construction of the bridge during a storm. Tappan Zee Constructors, through their insurance company, has been dealing directly with the boat club. On that dock was our boat lift where our fireboat was housed. We used to pay rent. We haven't paid rent, as you can see from this screen here. There's a bunch of zeros here as far as actual paid here, actual paid in the prior year, and even the prior year before that. The budget item is still there because we still have hopes to be able to use that dock. The fire department, and rightly so, as Chief Billings just mentioned, is getting antsy about not having a boat in town. But this litigation and ongoing dispute has dragged on tremendously long. I don't know what our options are in terms of, we either wait this out or we find out that it's never going to get repaired and we have to now find another location or build something ourselves. That's a whole different conversation, obviously.
Because the lift is in great shape. Our lift, works. It's out there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's, relatively new. It's just getting to that safely is the issue.
So, we hope there's a positive resolution. They're in some sort of arbitration proceeding right now, from what I understand. They've asked us for information. We provided them financial information about the lease and the loss of revenue that they've had. I know our building department's been consulted on some things, so it's an active situation, but no resolution yet.
Yeah, I know there was also a DEC concern with it. There was a couple different things going on with it. So
yeah,
we're hoping. We're in, I think, year 3 now.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And I know that we, fairly recently reached out again to the boat club and, got the same sort of hands up in the air answer. So,
yeah.
So it's a waiting game in terms of the litigation.
Yeah. But as far as the budget, if you guys could leave it on there, we hope that there is some sort of resolution in the near future. So, as far as any increases, that's what we have for you. If you guys have any questions for us, we're readily available via email, phone, whatever, so whatever you guys need. And just thank the board, at least, finishing up my first year in April, and you guys have been very supportive, so continue to work with you.
Well done. Any questions?
If there are no other questions, Dan, thanks. Again, I'm
Appreciate it,
sorry
guys.
I'm missing your meeting, but
Oh, no worries.
next month I'll see you guys.
I'll fill
Thank
you
you
in.
for coming.
Great.
You got it. Take care.
Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, so we can move on to
Thank you, Dan.
DPW.
Okay. So. All right, it looks like Greg is dialed in, so you're not going to have the pleasure of seeing him tonight, but I'm going to put him on here. And I should ask, Jim, did you want to appear also, or you're good? Yeah, Jim's in the audience, Jim Englishby. If you want to be up on the panel, just raise your hand. We'll put you up there. All right. Greg, can you hear? Yeah, there you are. Okay.
Hey, Larry, could you hear
Yep.
me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I don't have any visual, but I do have sound.
Okay. Okay. We'll walk through this. Let me stop sharing the screen here for a second and get on to the next thing. So we'll walk you through this, and you can chime in on the things that you need to. Give me 1 second here to get the DPW up. Okay. Almost there. Okay. All right. So there's a little bit more going on here. I don't know, Brenda, do you want to walk through this, or I'm happy to do it, whatever. And then if there's a couple items that are really for us to comment on in terms of salaries and things like that, and paving, but then some of the stuff, is obviously more in Greg's
Right.
court.
Right.
Jim, did you come here also, or you're good? Yeah, Jim's in the audience, Jim Englishby. Oh, if you want to be up on the panel, that's weird. Getting a replay. All right.
So, okay, I can start off here, and then Greg, you can you see the screen?
No, he
Greg?
can't see this. He can't. You're
Can't
gonna
see
have
the
to walk
screen
through
either.
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all righty. The first line is salary for the current year for the superintendent. Just to remind everybody, increases for non-union are approved and transferred from contingency in the new year. So they're not afforded here. It's reflecting the increase given this past June. On the professional fees, I'll let Greg chime in, but part of that was a compliance consultant, in addition to fees going up for gas the gas pumps. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, yes. The fees for the drug testing went up, and plus we also pay for the repairs to the gas pumps out of that line.
And also was an addition of a consultant that will be required on compliance.
Yeah. That's correct.
And I think of the 5,500, about 3,000 was for the consultant.
And
the
can I
next-
ask what that consultant is? What are we talking about in terms of compliance?
It's for bulk petroleum storage. We have to meet all these requirements by the
Mhm.
Department of Health. There's all kinds of forms to fill out that we don't understand. The Department of Health changes their standards from time to time, and
Mhm.
that's why we need the consultant.
Okay,
All right. The next one is the contractual increase for the mechanic in the mechanic shop. So that is going forward for the June increase that's required as per the contract. To follow that, we gave a percent, the same percent. I think it's what, 2.25%
Believe so,
increase?
yes. Yeah.
Okay, we followed through and increased the overtime by the same percent, the same amount. We
Similar, yeah.
also, yeah, we also increased the fuel, the heating oil by about 20% following the increases that we've seen for heating oil and just based on the consumption and how much was budgeted in the past. Then we have uniforms. We needed some additional money there for the cleaning. It's actual the cleaning in this case of the uniform for the mechanic. We go on to street maintenance. This is a little bit, this needs an explanation. It's not really going down, it's the allocation. What we do is we have the salaries of everyone in DPW, but because they perform different roles, those salaries are allocated across 3 lines: the street maintenance, sanitation, and recycling. So through the payroll process, it's also distributed that way when we pay the payroll. One of the primary reason that we do it is to reflect the cost correctly and also impacts our workers' comp. Workers' comp takes the bills and as it's allocated and charges us accordingly. So it seems like a lot of work, but there's a reason for it. So when you take, so what we've done is we've taken the actual salaries. I worked with Greg and with Todd and fine-tuned or went over those allocations, and it's a decrease in street maintenance and an increase in the sanitation and recycling lines. So they offset each other. And that would also, of course, include the increase for June 1st.
So the net increase is about $45,000, of which the majority of that is attributed to the contractual salary increases. The remainder are probably steps for some of our newer employees, ones that have been hired at a lower rate and are stepping up to their top salary. So that's that would make up that net of the 45,000 amongst those 3 lines.
We've taken the same CSEA contractual increase and applied it to the overtime. Next line is our CHIPS, which is the Consolidated Highway Improvement Program. That's the DOT affords the village money every year based on what they're projecting for next year. It will go up by 26,000. Maybe Greg, you want to comment on the CHIPS and how we've received more money than in prior years.
I believe the last time we received CHIPS, it was 93,000. It did go up to 26, and we're hopeful that they keep the winter program and the paving, the additional paving program in place, but we don't know yet. But we're hopeful that they will keep it.
Right. So what, the addition of the 26,000 is for the CHIPS part, that if they give us the amount we received last year, this would be the addition to the budget. It's not just an addition on the expense side, it's also on the revenue side. So it's a balance. It really doesn't fundamentally change the budget because it's a revenue and an expense, but it's reflected to show how much we're currently receiving. Okay. The next one, Greg, you may want to comment on. That's the budget for recurring paving.
Yeah, traditionally, we funded our paving money on an annual basis through bonds, but we were doing approximately 120,000 a year through the bonds. So far, we have funded in the operating budget an additional 60,000. And if we are able to put this 60,000 in the operating budget, we will no longer need to bond money for paving. We think this is the right way to go because we do pave every year.
That's right.
And just by way of history on this, those that were on the board obviously would remember that we've been trying to work in this bonded paving into our operating budget over a few years. So we didn't just add 120,000 to a budget one year. We did 30 and then 30. And last year, we had really hoped to get to the final number of 120,000 in our budget. And for a variety of reasons, in order to keep our tax rate where it needed to be. And, we had some uncertainty, of course, and, in terms of the pandemic and all. The board decided to not include that last year. This year, we are recommending to include that this year, to bring that into the operating budget. But, this is one of those items that if you decide not to, then, and you still want to do paving, then you're going to be borrowing it instead. So it's a real conscious decision, that's all.
Yeah, right. And in the past, we've sort of looked to see where we end up, and that's one of the items that, unfortunately, we've adjusted a little bit. But certainly, I think the argument that this is an annual expense, would have us try to get the full 120, into the operating budget. So it's not a long-term expense for the annual expense.
One thing I would like to add to that, by having the money in the operating budget and not having to wait to find out exactly how much will be bonded, it allows us to plan earlier and decide exactly what we are going to pave.
Right.
That's certainly a benefit from a planning standpoint. We work very closely with our neighboring municipalities to do a joint bid on a paving contract. And very often, some of those communities don't know exactly what is going to be approved from year to year. So it's much easier to know that, and we then know, we can get the contract done quickly and get it out to bid. So anyway, this is a positive thing for sure if we're able to keep it in there this year.
Right. And on the first presentation I gave on the overview, I did include the 60,000. So that was a good part, so those were in my preliminary numbers.
Right.
Okay, street maintenance. I think, Greg was just seeing that there were increased costs for material and road repair, just inflationary pressure on things. So we needed an additional 10,000 in that line item. Utilities, we are experiencing a 20% increase on electric. Natural gas is, I think, even up more than that. So we're required to fund that with some additional money. We're looking for an extra $6,000 there. Vehicle maintenance, I think Greg was pointing out the same issue of inflationary pressure on vehicle maintenance. Tires especially are up in price. Anything else you want to add to that, Greg? I think we had asked for an additional 15,000 for vehicle maintenance.
It's basically the parts, the prices are going through the roof, and you mentioned the tires especially are going up.
All right. Snow removal, we've increased the line. Snow removal, that's really for overtime that's used for during storms, snowstorms, and we've just applied the same CSEA increase to that line. Streetlights, we've increased it by 5,000, which reflects about a 20% increase over last year. And then the sanitation recycling, those were both reallocation of salaries. So the total increase for the department would be 185,319.
And I should point out that although that obviously that's not a small number.
Yeah.
If you take out the non-discretionary salaries, which is somewhere on the order of 55,000 or so, and you take out the very specific decision about the paving, which is another 60, and you take out the 26,000, which is offset fully by revenue on the other side, what you're left with is really the flow through of inflationary pressures and some of the information you heard tonight. That's the real meat of the budget. The rest of it is, you can either make a decision on paving one way or another, but the other items, salaries and all contractual, you've already signed that contract.
Right.
So.
Right, and what we get, as we've said many times, is the best DPW in the river towns, and they continue to do a great job with
So
whatever's
how
coming
much
tonight.
of this? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Larry.
thank you for that.
Mark, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how much of this number was reflected in what you showed us early on, Brenda? You said you had the 60,000 in there, but
Plus all the contractual salaries, plus the current year increase. So all the salaries were reflected as well as the 60.
so I guess what wasn't reflected? Can you give us a ballpark?
Sure, it
number?
was going down the line, it would have been the professional fees. That only came to light for me once I met with the department heads and with Greg directly. So the additional, since what I gave was professional fees, maybe the overtime for the 1,000, I'm not sure. Fuels, the heating fuel was added, uniforms. The chips, that's an offset, that's a wash. Street maintenance, the 10,000 for street maintenance. Not sure on utilities, whether I increased that at that time or not. Vehicle maintenance was requested by the department. And that's it.
Yeah. So what I will say though, and Brenda, maybe you remember, we, in going through this budget prior to presenting it to you back in January, the overview,
Right.
we knew that there was going to be an impact on the budget due to just general inflation. In the past, we didn't really have to account for it much because it was fairly negligible. So we knew that was going to be the case. So we actually did look at all of the line items in the entire budget that could be subject to inflationary pressures. And we applied a percentage to that and tucked it away in contingency so that what we presented to you was realistic. We didn't know how it was going to be allocated out to the departments, but we did tuck it away in total. So, right. So in effect, what I anticipate doing with a budget like this, for example, is if you've got, let's say, $30,000 or $40,000 worth of inflationary items, we can take that and make these changes and then have a commensurate decrease on the contingency from what we presented to you back in January. So it may not vary all that much to what we actually presented to you back in January. I think, Mark, that's what you were trying to get to is, how much of this is like add-on from what you last saw. And it may not be as much as we think. It's probably very minimal, as a matter of fact.
Right. I mean, that's part of the difficulty and the long drawn out process, but
But we'll
It's
circle
good
back
that
on all
you-
this.
Yeah,
it's good that you did put some inflationary contingency money in, because I think that, uh, who
We're
knows?
seeing it. Yeah, there's no question. We're seeing it throughout. So it's
It's real, not
It's
transient.
real. Yeah,
right?
it's not transitory. So yeah, but we'll circle back on all this. So I understand it's a bit disjointed this way in the sense of going department by department, but we do end up circling back and kind of putting a bow on it for you. So we'll get
right.
there.
So we'll be reducing the contingency that we already put in there in the budget.
Right.
Once we see all the departments, we can then, as Larry said, circle back, reduce that cushion, because now it's been allocated to each department.
Any questions?
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Well, Brenda, again, it's well presented. And again, not too many surprises based on what you had shown earlier or what you accounted for earlier. Greg, thank you very much for your time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you,
Greg.
Greg.
Okay,
So I had previously sent a note to the board that I'd like to move the discussion about the water and sewer department budgets over to the March 7th meeting. I think for a variety of reasons, I wasn't feeling confident in some of the items that are there, and I want to have a chance to review them with Brenda and with Jim Englishby to so I can make a more coherent presentation to the board. So there's a few moving parts in there, and there's probably a rate increase involved, and I want to make sure everyone understands it, and I'm fully prepared as well. So with that,
So with that, we're going to close the budget workshop for this meeting.
Yep.
Okay. The next item is approval of a grant agreement with NYS Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA. Larry, you want to give us some background?
yeah, certainly. Actually, this is a good one. So
Yeah.
It's a very long agreement, as you saw there. We have been participating in the Clean Energy Communities program for a couple of years now. We've been making very good progress in terms of earning points under their system for various high impact action items that we've undertaken. Things like the community choice aggregation, some of the campaigns that we've had in the community, like the demand response campaign and the clean heating and cooling, those types of things are all actions that we've undertaken to earn points. And by earning points, you actually qualify for grants through NYSERDA, depending on the level that you've achieved. And to date, we've either received or been awarded a total of $45,000 in grants. And examples of what we've done with that money up till now, we've used some of the money to purchase electric and battery powered equipment in our DPW and our parks in order to retire a significant amount of the gas powered equipment, not all of it, but a good amount of it. Our next step was to use money to supplement the cost of purchasing an electric vehicle for the building department so that we can retire the large silver Tahoe gas guzzler. And so that is what this particular contract is about. The other money that we've received were in smaller increments, $5,000, and they didn't require a full-blown contract. It was really just, click a button and they send you the money. Here, because this is a larger one, it's 10,000. They require a full-blown agreement, and that's what this agreement is. It's pretty straightforward. We understand what the requirements are, and we'll be purchasing that vehicle soon and requesting reimbursement if you approve this contract.
Great.
And
So,
actually, I should say from a timing standpoint, just to to make this interesting, we actually placed the order a while back, like August, and the delivery date is now April. It's, we don't know when it's coming. So, but it's on order, and the supply chain's getting us.
So they're supplying 10,000, but the rest of the vehicle cost is the village is doing as a capital expense, I take it?
So our plan is, there's also a rebate program through the DEC, which actually expired because we didn't get this vehicle in time, but I believe it's being renewed. We hope to get another $7,500 through that rebate program. And the trade-in value on the existing vehicle that we have is about 17,000. So, or yeah, 15,000 hopefully. So we're going to probably have more than enough money to purchase the Nissan Leaf that we've put on order without any capital expenditure.
The trade-in is the old Leaf?
No, the trade-in's the Tahoe, the silver Tahoe, building department Tahoe.
Oh, so the building department, it will be going green then.
Yes. So they'll have that vehicle, and then they'll have the four-wheel drive hybrid, which is in and out of the shop all the time, unfortunately. But they have a hybrid and they'll have an electric vehicle. So it's we're taking advantage of the used car market right now, actually, in getting a pretty good trade-in value for the Tahoe, if we can get our hands on this new car.
Exactly. Great. So as acting mayor, I can take credit for us getting an electric car, right?
Yes, you presided over it.
So
You can break the champagne bottle on it.
Larry, which
Okay.
hybrid is in the shop all the time? I just want to know so I can avoid a future purchase.
It's, yeah. Brenda, is it a Ford Escape? I can't remember. Or it's
You're
a
on mute, Brenda.
I think it's the Ford Explorer we usually get. as the
Explorer, yeah.
hybrid.
Yeah. So it's yeah, there's an issue there, but anyway, we're trying to work through it.
Yeah, we never
Any
had
other-
Escape, I don't think.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so whereas the Village of Irvington has made great strides in the area of clean energy and has met the requirements for grant funding under the Clean Energy Communities Program intended to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and contribute to New York clean energy goals, and resolved that the village has been approved to purchase an electric vehicle with these funds, and further resolved that the village administrator is hereby authorized to execute the grant agreement with the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERD. Can I get a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to reports of board, standing committees, and officers. Mr. Gilliland?
I have nothing new for tonight.
Mr. Bard?
I also have nothing new for tonight.
I have one important announcement that Joe Archino asked me to read in full. The Irvington Woods and the Community Forest Management Plan will be having a virtual public presentation March 14th, 2022 at 7 p.m. The Village of Irvington is developing its first Community Forest Management Plan, CFMP, for Irvington Woods. Arborist Miguel Berrios of LBS Ecological has been working closely with the Village of Irvington, its Recreation and Parks Department, and the O'Hara Nature Center to inventory the woods and determine best management practices to improve forest health. The vision for the project is to create a CFMP that will serve as clear directions to improve the village's urban forest management efforts in the woods. In recommending the most effective combination of site interventions for Irvington Woods, the project will enable improvements in native species diversity retention, invasive plant removal, evidence of the regeneration and growth of native tree species, and the protection of the public via reduced risk from hazardous trees. A healthy, regenerating forest will improve quality of life and deliver economic, social, and health benefits. Join us for a virtual public presentation on Monday, March 14th at 7 p.m., where Miguel will discuss the current state of the Irvington Woods and recommendations from the Community Forest Management Plan. We'd appreciate your attendance and input. And that's it from my report. Village Administrator's report.
Okay, so today we had a what I would call a very productive meeting with New York State DOT officials. Trustee Bard, Mayor Smith, and Chief Pignatelli and myself, we met with several officials from DOT region and as well as an official from Westchester County who was kind of keeping an eye on it. And the meeting was about the Route 9 active transportation corridor study plan. And so the DOT region was reaching out to discuss the plan itself, some of their observations. We shared some of our observations, which I know this board had, previously adopted a resolution that laid out some of the concerns. We certainly made sure that they understood what those concerns were. And, they know where we stand pretty well. Where this goes, we don't know. I think the next steps are to get together with the other communities and see if we're going to collaborate on engaging the services of an engineer to start really digging in and looking at the corridor itself and seeing what the problems, what the challenges are, what the solutions might be, and what the net result will be. So it's a pretty extended process, but this was the first step in talking with them. So good meeting, I'd say.
And I assume there was a recognition that it's not a one-size-fits-all village solution.
Yeah, the meeting, it said that a lot to me by the fact that they met with just us and met with each of the villages individually. They had reviewed, the plan and how it impacted each community, and they were very cognizant of what our issues were, what our challenging intersections are, areas of the village. And, it was personalized. So you could see that they're really digging in. And so certainly the one size fits all is definitely not the approach for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else on your report, Larry?
Nope, that's it.
Village Clerk Treasurer's report. Village Attorney's report.
No report.
Brenda, did you have anything? I'm sorry.
No, nothing.
You're good? Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
Any public comment? There's a few attendees still here. Raise your hand, please, if you'd like to say anything. We'll give you 3 minutes. Okay, thank you anyway. Review of action items.
None that I came up with here.
Yeah, I have none for today. Anybody else have any suggestions about action items? Okay, well, this was pretty straightforward. I don't want to ever do it again. But I will make a motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. And please, all in favor? Thank you with a smile. I appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'll see you at our next meeting, which is
March 7th.
March 7th.
March 7th. Okay, great. Thank
Great.
you all.
Thank you.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night.
What happened to your hand?
I broke my wrist.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you fall?